What's going on, everyone? This is Mitch with SC Weather. Hope y'all been having a great Sunday. There's a lot to talk about. This looks like it's going to be a very active week for severe weather, and it really looks like we're going to enter a period where we could get our first significant severe weather outbreak for areas of the deep south and southeast, even getting into areas of the Carolinas, maybe Virginia. But there's a lot to talk about. We're not going to be able to talk about really good specifics until another about 24 hours, until we can get some short-range modeling that really starts to come in, and reliable short-range modeling and a reliable time frame. So we're going to talk about what we know, because you guys, especially Mississippi, Alabama, and even Georgia and the Carolinas as we get into Thursday, obviously the main event's going to be Wednesday. You guys need to be prepared, because even people like Reed Timmer are saying this might be comparable to 2011. I'm not ready to say anything like that, but them guys are a little bit more smarter than me. So if they're saying that, we need to keep our head on the swivel with this, because this is really looking like it's going to be a severe, it's going to be some kind of outbreak, and not just severe weather, but tornadoes. All things on the table. Supercells turn into more of a linear kind of storm, meaning a squall line moving through Georgia and the Carolinas potentially. So we're going to break it all down. If you guys have not hit that subscribe button, please do, guys. I'm trying to pick up my growth a little bit, and you guys have been phenomenal over the course of the last several months, and thank you all for the continued growth. I also want to announce that I will likely be chasing this event from South Carolina west into Alabama and potentially Mississippi. So this will be my first long-range severe weather chase, as I went up to Pennsylvania for winter weather back in December. So I'm about 80% sure I'm going to do it. So obviously this is going to be big for me. So definitely follow along, because I'm going to have content for that. But also I want to mention that if you guys got anything that I can pray for, please drop it in the comments. Anything anybody else could pray for, just drop in the comments. If it's unspoken, just say that. This is an awesome opportunity for me to give, this platform an opportunity to glorify God. So definitely let us be able to help you by praying for you if you're going through any kind of tough situations. But let's get going here. Remember, subscribe if you haven't, liked the video if you do. And thank you all for the incredible support. So, like I said, a lot to talk about. This is day 4. This is going to upgrade overnight to something. I don't know. But keep in mind, there wasn't even a thunder. This is when you're day 4 to 8, the Storm Prediction Center does an outlook legend, 15 or 30%. They don't get into the main 1 to 5, meaning marginal, slight, enhanced, moderate, high risk category, until you get inside 3 days. So the reason you don't see that yet over here is because we're still outside of 3 days, but we're about to get inside 3 days starting tomorrow. So look at it, 30% chance of severe weather. I know that's like over 30% chance, but when you see this from the National Weather Service, the Storm Prediction Center, this is a big deal. This is warning shots for sure. Now, you go to day 5 and check it out. The Carolinas and North Carolina, Georgia, the Panhandle of Florida, this becomes a more threat for you guys. So this is going to be Wednesday and Thursday, the 2 main days. But there could be even severe weather in parts of the deep south tomorrow, but we're not really going to focus on that. So let's really get deep into this, guys, because this is big. So here we go. We got the GFS here, and basically we're just going to show you the storm as a whole. So here it comes. That's not the storm. The other cutoff low, this is going to be an upper level low. This is going to be in response to the upper level low. This is what's going to drive this storm, as you have a wind field to the south, and wind energy and bulk shear that really gets going here as this system. The more this thing trends kind of north, and this is just the GFS, this is one scenario, the more warm, moist Gulf air you can pull into this, and the more you have an amplified ingredient for the severe weather event. So obviously, this doesn't look like much but a bunch of rain. I do want to mention that. I know here at my house, I think we're at day 9 or 10 without rain here in Columbia, South Carolina. Regardless if you see severe weather or not, we're going to see a lot more rain this week across the south and southeast, and even the east coast in general. But this moves through. That's the system as a whole. I want to show you something on the GFS, and I want to throw this out here really quick, because the GFS is kind of behind, and it does this a lot. Notice this. And this is mainly looking at the threat for the Carolinas. Watch this. It is trending slower. And why it's trending slower, and what that means for the Carolinas for the Thursday event is basically, and not just the Carolinas, Georgia and the Panhandle of Florida too, is that basically you'll have a more favorable environment in a more favorable time of the day, which is the afternoon hours of Thursday. This is the afternoon hours of Thursday. If we were looking at this, more stable air, dew points in the 40s, behind the front is already kicking in. But check it out. Look how this thing has trended. Now, you're having a cold air damming kind of trending more into the picture if you keep trending slower, but I don't know how much deeper that's going to go. But now you have dew points in the 50s, in the 60s, and more further west now, which means that there's a potential for whatever energy's left here that could really re-strengthen and hit areas of the Carolinas and Georgia in a more favorable time of the day. But I do want to mention that real quick. But the European model, same thing. It shows the system. It shows all the main activity right here. I know this looks like a bunch of green, but that's going to be storms. It's going to be supercells. It's really going to initialize, I think, somewhere in Mississippi and track east and turn into a consolidated linear line of storms, or somewhat a squall line, whatever it may be. We're going to see, and you can kind of tell it does that on the Euro as the upper level low is pulling up ahead, and you have some kind of line of moisture right here. But I want to show you Cape, and this is all pivotal weather. So that we're getting into Monday. We'll have a little bit of Cape tomorrow for the fuel, maybe some marginal, and there's even a marginal risk, which is 1 out of 5 in the risk category. A little bit of Cape, but check it out as we get into Tuesday. The Cape starts to build, and this is Cape values that are pretty high, guys. This is Cape values 25, 3 to 3,000 joules per kilogram. That's pretty high Cape. That's very high Cape. I mean, you don't need Cape, but maybe depending on if you have other ingredients in check here, you don't need Cape, but no more than 1,000 in some cases. So it's going to be interesting what occurs here. I'm just going to keep it right here. It's pivotal weather does not fit into my screen very well, and I'm still learning the site a little bit as I've only been with it about 2 weeks. But look at the Cape here. This is where supercells are going to have the opportunity to really form here as we're getting going here. Let's see if we can stop this going crazy. So supercells can really initialize right here in southern Mississippi as we get in early afternoons of Thursday. They're going to track into Alabama, and they're going to have a spin to them, and it's going to get nasty. I really think I'm just going to click a random sounding here, and look, tornadoes a potential hazard. But look, you got temperatures pushing 80 degrees with some Cape here, dew points in the upper 60s. You got a little bit of shear. You look at the hodograph over here. You just got to spin to it. So this is definitely something that we have to watch for supercells and rotating storms, which is a supercell. So this could really become a dangerous situation over here in Alabama and Mississippi, moving from Mississippi to Alabama. And eventually there's enough Cape showing here with a line of storms right into here as we get into the afternoon hours Thursday in the Carolinas, mixed in with definitely just a potent wind energy. It's basically going to turn into a line of storms. You're not going to have consolidated storms, I think, as you get into the Carolinas, but we'll see how that goes. Now, you look at dew points here, and this is big. Dew points is going to surge ahead of the storm, but look at dew points down there in the Gulf. They really get going into the 70s in some spots. This will be dew points in the low 70s. It just adds insult to misery when it comes to severe weather. It really adds that extra. When you got that big time of moist air mixed in with all the other ingredients of high Cape, it definitely is not going to be a good situation. And really, you don't need dew points in the 70s to have severe weather. You dew points in the 60s. You look at what happened in the Panhandle of Florida yesterday. Dew points were only, in some cases, were only in the 50s. So as it keeps going, you get going here in time here, the dew points spike as you get a southerly flow ahead of this cold front, which will provide energy for some kind of severe weather event, even as you get into Georgia and the Carolinas. So into the Panhandle of Florida, I think some kind of line of storms is going to develop here into the early morning hours. Well, I mean, it's not going to develop. You're basically going to get whatever energy is left over here that consolidates into a line of storms and moves into the Carolinas. So I think for the Carolinas, this is going to be more so a line of storms. But we're still looking at the Euro here, and and it's going to kind of show what I mean by consolidated storms, but more so supercell storms, supercellular like look here, as you have more of the pop-up in nature around here. You know, we're still looking at the Euro, so it's kind of hard to tell where a supercell is going to form. We're not going to know that even when we get into the HRRR model, where it really starts to pick up on supercells and where they're going to initialize. It's still not super accurate, but as we get going in time, that turns into more of a line of storms. And I know that doesn't look very potent, but it still can be. So you look at the soundings ahead of this line of storms here in the Midlands of South Carolina. That's definitely, it says marginal tour, but that's definitely a sounding for some kind of severe weather. Now, I don't think it's going to be much of a severe weather threat. I mean, a tornado threat, but I do think there could be a chance for some high winds and maybe a quick spin up inside of a line of storms. So you look at the temperatures, and we're at the UK Met now. Look at the temperatures, and obviously getting daytime heating is big with severe weather. Not in every case, especially in the spring, when you have all these other ingredients that thermodynamics to really come together for severe weather. You don't really only need temperatures in the upper 70s. You really don't even need them that high. But in the South, you often get that. And check it out. You got temperatures across the lower Gulf states and the upper 70s to pushing 80 degrees. So it's definitely warm enough. Check out how cool it is in the Carolinas ahead of this storm. But you move through in time, you get a spike in temperatures as you get into Thursday. Thursday, the UK Met is very slow. It has the line of storms still much further west. And it's going to be interesting to see how much slower this storm gets, because if it gets too much slower, then the day risk is going to shift. But I think it's still going to be a Wednesday and a Thursday kind of thing. But here you go. You have the UK Met, the bulk shear here, and you definitely have some high shear around. Nothing crazy, but you notice when it kind of turns into a line of storms, the shear really gets going, because basically this upper level low is swinging what's left of this energy, and it becomes a big time wind threat. I really think it goes from more of a tornado, big hailers, to a tornado threat. But I'm just speaking what if, because right now it's kind of hard to know what exactly it's going to do. But Spam posted something. He's a really well known guy in Alabama. He posted this earlier. It's a significant tornado parameter that has very high values for Mississippi and Alabama, and he's already on this. And so people often think about the April event, and it gets kind of scary, and you start to worry a little bit. But this is definitely going to be a big time severe weather event. I know guys, that I wasn't very super detailed with this video, but it's kind of hard to get super detailed when you can't get into short range modeling. All we really know is the ingredients are really there for some kind of severe weather outbreak. Tornado threat for sure, especially Wednesday for the deep south. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll keep y'all updated as much as possible. Thank y'all for tuning in.